I still remember the exact weight of that morning. February 14th. Valentine's Day. Isn't that ironic? The universe has a sick sense of humor, and that day it decided to play the longest, cruelest joke on me. Or maybe it was a gift. I still can't decide. I woke up at 6:15 like I always did. The alarm hadn't even gone off yet. My body just knew. 10 years of marriage will do that to you. You become a machine. Wake up, make coffee, start the day, smile even when you don't want to, pretend everything is fine even when it's not. I had perfected the art of pretending. I padded downstairs in my bare feet, the hardwood cold against my soles. It was mid-February in Michigan, and the house held onto the night's chill like a grudge. The heating hadn't kicked in yet. I wrapped my robe tighter around myself and descended the stairs slowly, one hand on the railing, the other rubbing sleep from my eyes. The house was quiet, too quiet, that kind of silence that feels like it's hiding something, like the walls are holding their breath, waiting for you to discover their secret. Our golden retriever, Max, usually greeted me at the bottom of the stairs, tail wagging, ready for his morning walk. But he was still asleep in his bed by the fireplace. Even he sensed something was off. I went to start the coffee, and that's when I saw his shirt. The blue one, the Oxford button-down I'd bought him for Christmas 2 years ago, the one I'd ironed for him the night before because he had that important meeting with the regional managers. It was draped over the kitchen chair, not hung up like I'd taught him 1,000 times. We'd had this conversation so many times it had become a running joke. Chairs aren't closets, I'd say. But they're so convenient, he'd reply with that boyish grin. I was annoyed. That was my first emotion. Annoyance. Not suspicion. Not yet. Just that low-level irritation that comes from being married long enough that the small things start to grate on you. I thought about leaving it there, making a point. But old habits die hard. I'm a fixer. I always have been. I picked it up to take it upstairs, and that's when I saw it. A smear of lipstick on the collar. Deep red, almost burgundy. The kind of color that makes a statement. The kind of color that says, I'm here, notice me. It caught the early morning light filtering through the kitchen window, and for a moment, I thought maybe it was just a shadow. Maybe my tired eyes were playing tricks on me. But it wasn't a shadow. I don't wear red lipstick, I never have. I'm a nude gloss girl, maybe a soft pink if I'm feeling fancy. It's always been my thing. Natural, understated. He knows that. He's known that for 10 years. He's watched me get ready for date nights, for weddings, for funerals. He knows every product in my makeup bag, and red lipstick has never been one of them. My hands started shaking, not a little tremor, a full-body shake that started in my fingertips and radiated outward until I had to sit down at the kitchen table. I held that collar up to the morning light coming through the kitchen window, and I could see it clearly. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Someone had gotten close enough to leave their mark. Close enough that their lips had pressed against his neck, right where the collar sits. I stood there for what felt like an hour but was probably only 30 seconds. Time does this strange thing when your world is falling apart. It stretches and contracts. Seconds become hours. Hours become seconds. My mind was racing, throwing questions at me faster than I could process them. How long has this been going on? Who is she? Where did they meet? When did this start? Was it last night? Last week? Last month? Last year? The questions came like a flood, drowning me, but I didn't cry. That's the strange part. I thought I would. I thought I'd collapse into a sobbing mess right there on the kitchen floor, but I didn't. My eyes stayed dry. My breathing stayed steady. I was numb. Completely, utterly numb. I folded the shirt carefully and placed it back on the chair. Exactly how I'd found it. My movements were mechanical, precise. I smoothed out the wrinkles. I positioned it so the collar faced away, hiding the stain. Then I went to make coffee like nothing had happened. The machine gurgled and hissed, the same sounds it had made every morning for 5 years. We'd bought it together at Target, arguing playfully about whether we needed the expensive one with all the settings or the basic model. We'd compromised, like we always did. Like I thought we always did. I watched the dark liquid drip into the pot. Drip, drip, drip. Each drop felt like a second of my life that I'd wasted. 10 years, a decade. My entire 30s had been consumed by this marriage, by building a life with someone who apparently didn't value it the same way I did. While the coffee brewed, I turned on the small TV we kept on the kitchen counter. The More. Ning News, Channel 7. I needed noise. I needed something to fill the silence that was suffocating me, that was pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. The anchor was talking about traffic on I-94, an accident near the exit for Ann Arbor, then weather, cold front moving in, chance of snow, then they cut to something else. The lottery drawing from the night before. I had bought a ticket 2 days earlier. Wednesday afternoon, I always did. Every Tuesday and Friday religiously, $2, a tiny rebellion against our tight budget, against his constant lectures about fiscal responsibility. He always said it was a waste of money. "You'll never win," he'd say with that condescending smile. "It's a tax on people who can't do math. The odds are astronomical. You'd have better luck getting struck by lightning." But I kept buying them anyway. It was my small act of defiance, my little secret. I'd pay cash at the gas station on my way home from work, slip the ticket into my purse, and forget about it until the next drawing. I never expected to win. That wasn't the point. The point was having something that was mine, some small choice I made that he didn't control. I pulled the ticket out of my purse. It was crumpled at the bottom, mixed in with old receipts and a grocery list and a coupon for laundry detergent that had probably expired. I smoothed it out on the counter, pressing it flat with my palm. The paper was thin, already worn from being jostled around with everything else I carried. The anchor was reading the numbers. A perky blonde woman in a red blazer. She was smiling like she'd just told a joke. Tonight's winning numbers are 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, and the Powerball is 11. That's 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, and Powerball 11. If you've got the winning ticket, you're looking at a jackpot of $10 million. I wasn't really paying attention. My mind was still on that lipstick stain, on the way his shirt had smelled when I picked it up. Not like his usual cologne, something sweeter, floral, expensive. Tonight's winning numbers are 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, and the Powerball is 11. I glanced down at my ticket. 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, 11. I looked back at the TV. The numbers were displayed in big white text against a blue background. 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, 11. Then back at the ticket. 3, 17, 29, 33, 48, 11. My heart stopped. Actually stopped. I felt it seize in my chest, felt the world tilt sideways. I checked again, and again, and again. I must have checked 7 times, maybe more. I counted on my fingers, matching each number, terrified I was reading it wrong, that I was seeing what I wanted to see instead of what was actually there. But the numbers didn't change. $10 million. I had won $10 million. The same morning I discovered my husband was cheating on me, I had won $10 million. The same morning that lipstick stain destroyed my marriage, I had won enough money to never worry about anything again. I sat down, my legs just gave out. They turned to water beneath me and I stumbled backward, catching myself on the kitchen chair. The same chair that held his shirt. The same chair where I'd eaten breakfast 1,000 times, where we'd shared morning coffee and small talk about our days. I pulled out the chair and sat, staring at that ticket. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The coffee machine beeped. It was ready. The sound was jarring, too loud, too normal for what was happening. I didn't move. I couldn't move. My entire body had frozen. My mind split into 2 distinct voices. One was screaming, celebrating, jumping up and down with pure, unfiltered joy. $10 million, you're rich, you're free, you never have to worry about money again, you can leave, you can start over, you won. The other voice was cold, calculating, asking questions that the excited voice didn't want to hear. Does he know? No, he was asleep when I bought it. He didn't even know I was gone. I'd stopped at the gas station on my way home from the grocery store. Does anyone know? No, I paid cash. I always pay cash. There's no record, no credit card statement, nothing linking me to this ticket except the piece of paper in my hand. What do? Tell him. Confront him about the lipstick and then tell him about the money. Watch him pretend to be sorry. Watch him beg for forgiveness while his eyes light up with dollar signs. Watch him calculate how much he stands to gain if he can convince me to stay. That cold voice got louder, drowning out the celebration. Don't tell him. Not yet. Not until you figure this out. Not until you have a plan. I heard footsteps upstairs, the familiar creak of the bedroom floorboards. He was awake. I shoved the lottery tick deep into my purse, into the zippered pocket I never used, the one that held old tampons and a spare key to my mom's house. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely get the zipper closed. I zipped it once, then checked it twice, then 3 times, paranoid that it would somehow fall out, that he would see it. He came downstairs in his boxers and old college t-shirt, the Michigan State one with the hole in the armpit that I kept threatening to throw away. His hair was messy, sticking up in the back. He was yawning, stretching his arms above his head. He looked like the man I'd married, the man I'd loved, the man I thought I knew. "Morning, babe," he said, kissing the top of my head as he passed. So casual, so normal, like he hadn't betrayed everything we'd built, like his shirt wasn't sitting 3 feet away with evidence of his infidelity smeared across the collar, like my entire world hadn't just imploded and reconstructed itself in the span of 5 minutes. "Morning," I managed to say. My voice sounded normal, steady. I was surprised by that. I thought it would crack, thought I'd give myself away immediately. But years of faking enthusiasm at office parties and family dinners had trained me well. He grabbed his coffee mug from the cabinet, the one I'd given him on our 5th anniversary, white ceramic with black text. "World's best husband," it said, with a little heart. I thought it was cute at the time. Now I wanted to smash it against the wall, watch it shatter into 1,000 pieces. "You okay?" he asked, looking at me over the rim of his mug. His eyes were slightly bloodshot, tired or maybe hungover. "You look pale." "I'm fine," I lied. The words came out automatically. "I'm fine." How many times had I said that? How many times had I swallowed my feelings and plastered on a smile and said I'm fine when I wasn't? "Didn't sleep well," I added. That part was true. I hadn't slept well in months, maybe years. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, listening to him snore, feeling a vague sense of dissatisfaction I couldn't quite name. He nodded, already distracted, scrolling through his phone. The blue light illuminated his face. He was frowning at something, an email probably, or a text, from her. "I've got back-to-back meetings today," he said without looking up. "Probably won't be home until late, maybe 8 or 9. Late, I wondered if late meant her, if it had always meant her. How many times had he said those words? How many client dinners and work emergencies had actually been him with someone else? "Okay," I said, "I'll save you dinner." He smiled, that smile that used to make my stomach flip, the one that made me say yes when he proposed on that beach in California, the one that I'd photographed 1,000 times. Now it made me nauseous. He grabbed his shirt from the chair. The one with the lipstick, he didn't even glance at it. Just scooped it up and threw it in the laundry basket in the hallway, adding it to the pile of clothes that I would wash this weekend, like I always did. Evidence, he was throwing away evidence, but I didn't need it, not anymore. I had something better. I had an escape plan, I just didn't know it yet. The next 6 months were the strangest of my life. I went through the motions. I woke up, made coffee, kissed him goodbye. I went to work at the insurance company where I'd been processing claims for 8 years. I came home, made dinner, asked about his day. I did laundry. I paid bills. I smiled at neighbors. I played the role of devoted wife while my mind was somewhere else entirely. But underneath that normal surface, I was building something. A fortress, an exit strategy, an escape route. The day after I found the lottery ticket, I called in sick to work. I never call in sick. I'm the person who comes in with a fever, who powers through migraines and stomach bugs. But that day, I told my boss I had food poisoning and spent 8 hours in front of my laptop researching. How to claim lottery winnings anonymously, what states allow it, what lawyers to hire, how to protect assets during divorce. I learned terms I'd never heard before: separate property, community property, discovery, settlement, postnuptial agreements, marital torts. I filled 3 notebooks with notes. I created folders on my laptop with innocuous names. Recipes was actually divorce law research. Book club was lottery claiming procedures. I became a spy in my own life. I found a lawyer 3 towns over, Janet Morrison. I'd searched for hours, reading reviews, looking for someone who specialized in complex divorce cases, someone who wouldn't be shocked by what I was planning, someone who would help me, not judge me. I paid for the consultation fee with cash I'd been skimming from the grocery money. $5 here, $10 there. It took me 3 weeks to save the $200 she charged for the first meeting. I told him I was going to visit my college roommate in Toledo. He barely looked up from his phone when I left. Janet's office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. The waiting room smelled like vanilla air freshener and old magazines. I sat there for 20 minutes, my knee bouncing, my palms sweating, rehearsing what I was going to say. When she finally called me back, I almost ran, almost got up and walked out, but I didn't. I followed her into a small office with diplomas on the wall and a dyeing plant on the windowsill. "So," she said, sitting across from me. She was in her 50s, gray streaks in her dark hair, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. "What brings you here?" I told her everything. The lipstick stain, the lottery ticket, what I wanted to do. The words poured out of me in a flood. I hadn't realized how badly I needed to tell someone, to say it all out loud and have another person confirm that I wasn't crazy. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It wasn't warm or sympathetic. It was the smile of someone who'd seen too many people get screwed over in divorce court. Someone who'd watched women walk away with nothing while their husbands kept everything. "You bought the ticket before you had any knowledge of infidelity?" she asked. "Yes, 2 days before I found the lipstick." "And you paid cash?" "Always. He doesn't know I buy tickets." "Have you told anyone about winning? Family? Friends?" "No one, just you." "Have you signed the back of the ticket?" "Not yet. I was afraid to." She leaned forward, folding her hands on her desk. In Michigan, lottery winnings can be considered separate property if they were acquired before the marriage deteriorated and if they can be proven as non-marital assets. The key is timing and documentation. What does that mean? It means if you play this right, he has no legal claim to that money. But you have to be very, very careful. One wrong move, and it becomes community property subject to division. My heart was racing. How do I do this? She pulled out a legal pad and started writing. Very carefully. First, don't claim the ticket yet. You have a year from the draw date. Second, document everything about his affair. Every late night, every suspicious expense, every lie. Build a paper trail that shows the marriage was already failing. Third, file for divorce on grounds that make sense. Growing apart, irreconcilable differences. Don't mention the affair unless you have to. We want this clean and quick. And the monies. Claim it after the divorce is finalized. Once the settlement is signed and the marriage is legally over, that money is yours and yours alone. I hired her that day, paid her retainer with more grocery money I'd been saving, $2,000 in cash, mostly 20s and 10s, in an envelope. She didn't ask questions. Over the next month, I became someone I didn't recognize. I started documenting everything. I bought a small notebook that I kept hidden in my car. Every time he came home late, I wrote it down. Every time he showered as soon as he walked in the door. Every time he took a phone call in the other room. Every time I smelled perfume on his clothes. I took photos of credit card statements, charges at restaurants I'd never been to, hotels, flowers that I'd never received. He was so careless, so confident that I wasn't paying attention. And for years, I hadn't been, but now I was watching everything. But I also became the perfect wife. This was the hard part, the part that made me feel sick. I never confronted him about the lipstick. I never asked questions about where he'd been or who he'd been with. I made his favorite meals. I laughed at his jokes. I bought him a new tie for his birthday. I made sure he felt secure, comfortable, unsuspecting. At night, lying next to him in bed, I would stare at the ceiling and run through my plan. Don't crack. Don't break. Don't give anything away. Just 6 more months. Just 6 more months and you'll be free. Sometimes he would reach for me in the dark. Those nights were the worst. I would close my eyes and pretend. Pretend I didn't know. Pretend I still loved him. Pretend my skin didn't crawl at his touch. And then I would go to the bathroom and cry silently into a towel, biting down on the fabric so he wouldn't hear. In month 3, I brought up divorce. We were eating dinner on a random Tuesday. Spaghetti, his favorite. I'd made the sauce from scratch, the way his mother had taught me. Garlic and basil and 3 different kinds of tomatoes. He'd had 2 helpings and was going back for thirds. I've been thinking, I said casually, twirling pasta on my fork. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. Are you happy? He looked up, surprised. A piece of spaghetti was hanging from his fork, sauce dripping back onto his plate. What do you mean? With us, with this marriage, with our life together, are you happy? He put his fork down, wiped his mouth with his napkin. The silence stretched out between us. I could see him thinking, calculating, trying to figure out what the right answer was, what I wanted to hear. I don't know, he finally said. Are you? That hesitation told me everything. Not yes, of course I'm happy. Not what are you talking about, we're great. Just I don't know. No, I said simply, honestly. I don't think I am. I don't think I have been for a while. I watched relief flood his face. He tried to hide it, tried to rearrange his features into something that looked like concern. But I saw it. That split second where his whole body relaxed. He was relieved. He wanted out too. He just didn't have the guts to say it first. Maybe we should think about separating, he said carefully, testing the waters, watching my reaction. Maybe, I agreed. Maybe we got married too young. Maybe we grew in different directions. Maybe we want different things now. We talked for 2 more hours that night, sitting at that kitchen table, the same table where I'd found out I'd won $10 million. He was so reasonable, so mature, so ready to end things amicably. I don't want this to be ugly, he said. I still care about you. I want us both to be happy. I almost laughed, almost told him about the lipstick, almost screamed that he'd already made it ugly, that he'd destroyed what we had long before this conversation. But I didn't. I smiled and nodded and agreed that we should handle this like adults. Over the next 3 months, we worked out the terms. He wanted to be fair, he said. He suggested we split everything 50-50. The house, the savings account, which had about $12,000 in it, the cars, the furniture. And then there was the debt. We had credit card debt, about $40,000, 2 cards, both in both our names. He'd racked most of it up on business expenses, he said. Dinners with clients, conference trips, new suits for presentations. I'd signed my name on those cards when we'd first gotten married, trusting him to manage them responsibly. Now I knew differently. I'd gone through the statements. Most of those charges weren't business expenses. They were expensive dinners at romantic restaurants, weekend getaways to hotels, jewelry purchases that I'd never seen. The debt is the tricky part, he said during one of our discussions. We were sitting in the living room, papers spread across the coffee table, a bottle of wine between us that we weren't drinking. Legally, we're both responsible for it. I know, I said. I was thinking we could split it, $20,000 each. I pretended to think about it, pretended to calculate what I could afford on my insurance company's salary. "That's going to be tight for me," I said. "I don't make as much as you do." "I know, but it's only fair." Fair, that word made me want to scream. "What if," I said slowly, like the idea was just occurring to me, "what if I took all the debt?" He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "All of it?" "All of it. You've been the primary earner. You've supported us while I've been working my way up at the insurance company. It's only fair." There was that word again, fair. "But that's $40,000, he said. "I know, but I want a clean break. I don't want to fight about who owes what. I'll take the debt and my car. You keep your retirement account. We sell the house and split what's left after the mortgage. No alimony, no fighting, no lawyers dragging this out for years." I could see him thinking, see the numbers running through his head. His retirement account had about $80,000 in it. If I was taking all the debt, he was walking away with a huge win. "Are you sure?" he asked, but I could hear the hope in his voice, the excitement. "I'm sure." His lawyer couldn't believe it. During our one and only mediation session, held in a bland conference room with terrible fluorescent lighting, his lawyer kept asking me if I understood what I was agreeing to. "You're taking on significant debt, Mrs. Henderson. Are you certain you can manage this financially?" "I'm certain," I said. "And you're waiving all rights to spousal support?" "Yes." "Even though your husband outturns you significantly?" "Yes." My lawyer kicked me under the table. We'd rehearsed this. I was playing my part perfectly. The divorce was finalized on August 23rd, 6 months and 9 days after I'd found that lipstick stain. We signed the papers in that same bland office with beige walls and fluorescent lights that hummed constantly. He wore a suit, navy blue, one I'd never seen before. I wore jeans and a t-shirt. We dressed for different occasions. He thought this was a business transaction. I knew it was my liberation. We didn't look at each other much during the signing. Just pages and pages of legal documents. Our signatures going on dotted lines. 10 years of marriage reduced to paperwork and notary stamps. When it was done, he actually hugged me, pulled me into an awkward embrace right there in the lawyer's office. "I hope you find happiness," he said. "I hope we both do." I almost laughed, almost told him that I'd already found it, that it was sitting in a zippered pocket in my purse, a crumpled piece of paper worth $10 million, but I didn't. "You too," I managed to say. I walked out of that office and sat in my car for 10 minutes. Just sat there in the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, trying to process that it was over, that I was divorced, that I was free. Then I drove straight to the Michigan Lottery headquarters in Lansing. I'd called ahead weeks ago, scheduling an appointment. They were expecting me. The building was nondescript, gray concrete. You'd never know that inside, lives were being changed every day. I parked and walked in with my purse clutched against my chest. The woman at the front desk smiled at me. "Can I help you?" "I have an appointment to claim a prize." She checked her computer. "Name." I gave it to her. "Have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly." I sat in the waiting area, leg bouncing, hands shaking. The ticket was still in that zippered pocket. 6 months old now, still valid. I'd checked the expiration date 100 times, paranoid I'd somehow missed the deadline. But lottery tickets in Michigan are good for a year from the draw date. I still had time. A man in a suit came out 15 minutes later. "Mrs. Henderson, I'm David Chen. Please follow me." I followed him down a hallway into a private office. He closed the door behind us. "So," he said, sitting behind his desk, "you're here to claim a prize. May I see your ticket?" My hands were shaking as I pulled it out. That crumpled, worn piece of paper that had been living in my purse for 6 months. I smoothed it out on his desk. He picked it up carefully, examined it closely. Then he scanned it with a handheld device. The device beeped. His eyes went wide. "Oh my God," he whispered. "You won. The $10 million Powerball from February 14th. "I know," I said. He looked at me with something like awe. "This ticket is 6 months old. Why did you wait so long to claim it?" I smiled. I had some things to settle first. They ran through all the verification procedures, took my information, asked me questions to confirm I was the legitimate owner. Then came the paperwork. Pages and pages of forms, tax documents, disclosure forms, payment options. "You can take it as an annuity," David explained. 29 payments over 29 years, or you can take the lump sum. That's approximately $6 million after taxes. "Lump sum," I said without hesitation. "Are you sure? The annuity ensures you receive payments for decades." "I'm sure." They wanted to take my photo, hold up one of those giant ceremonial checks, put out a press release. It was part of their public relations strategy, showing real people winning real money. "Can I stay anonymous?" I asked. David hesitated. Michigan does allow lottery winners to remain anonymous. You'd need to claim it through a trust or LLC. Then that's what I want to do. My lawyer had already set that up for me, a trust with a boring, generic name, Henderson Family Trust. Ironic, since there was no family anymore, just me. They agreed, though I could tell they were disappointed. No photo, no press release, just a quiet transfer of funds into an account that couldn't be traced back to me directly. It took 3 weeks for everything to process. 3 weeks of holding my breath, terrified that something would go wrong, that they'd discover some technicality, that my ex would somehow find out and file an injunction. But nothing went wrong. On September 12th, I received a call from my bank. "Mrs. Henderson, we need to inform you that a significant deposit has been made into your account. We're required to notify you of any deposits over $10,000. "How much?" I asked, even though I knew. $6,147,623. I sat down. I was at work, at my desk in the insurance company, surrounded by coworkers processing claims and taking phone calls and eating lunch at their desks. My whole body went numb. "Thank you," I managed to say. "Thank you for letting me know." I hung up and stared at my computer screen for a long time. $6 million. It was real. It had actually happened. The first thing I did was pay off the credit cards. All $40,000 of debt that was now legally, officially mine. I didn't care. It was worth every penny. It was the price of my freedom. The second thing I did was quit my job. I gave 2 weeks' notice, told my boss I was moving out of state to be closer to family. She threw me a goodbye party with sheet cake from the grocery store. My coworkers signed a card. I smiled and thanked them and felt nothing. The third thing I did was buy a house. A smell. L house in a town 6 hours away where nobody knew me, where I could start over completely. 2 bedrooms, a garden, a front porch with a swing, nothing fancy, nothing that would draw attention. I paid cash, $380,000. The realtor nearly fainted. I moved on October 1st, packed everything I owned into a U-Haul and drove away from the life I'd built, away from the house where I'd been unhappy, away from the friends who would ask too many questions, away from everything. I found out through mutual friends that he'd found out about the lottery winning about a month after the divorce was final. Someone we knew had seen the lottery records, their public information in Michigan, even for anonymous winners. You can see that a ticket was claimed even if you can't see who claimed it. They'd noticed the date, February 14th. They'd done the math. My ex started calling. 27 times in one day. I didn't answer. I'd changed my number, but he got the new one somehow. From my mom, probably. She didn't know what had happened. Didn't know about the lottery or the real reason for the divorce. I'd told her we'd grown apart. Then came the emails, dozens of them, then texts, then messages on social media, each one more desperate than the last. "You lied to me. You hid assets during our divorce. I'm going to sue you for fraud. You owe me half of that money. How could you do this to me? I thought we were handling this like adults. You're a liar and a cheat. I'm going to take you for everything." I forwarded everything to Janet, my lawyer. She read through them all and then sent him a letter. A very clear, very legal letter on official letterhead. The letter explained, in precise legal language, that the lottery ticket had been purchased on February 12th with my separate funds before any knowledge of infidelity or marriage breakdown. That the winning had never been disclosed during divorce proceedings because it had not yet been claimed and was therefore not marital property. That all assets disclosed during our divorce had been accurate and complete. That he had signed a settlement agreement waiving all future claims. That any lawsuit would be frivolous and subject to sanctions. He tried to sue anyway. Of course he did. He found a lawyer. The kind that advertises on bus benches and late-night TV. The kind that promises to fight for your rights and takes cases they know they'll lose just to rack up billable hours. They filed a motion claiming fraud, claiming I'd hidden assets, claiming the lottery winnings should be considered marital property subject to division. They demanded financial discovery. They demanded depositions. They demanded half of everything I'd won. It was thrown out in 3 weeks. The judge actually laughed. Not out loud, but I saw it in his eyes when he read their motion. He called the case frivolous and without merit. He said that a lottery ticket purchased before any separation or divorce filing could not be considered marital property, especially when the winning wasn't claimed until after the marriage was legally dissolved. My ex had to pay court fees, his lawyer's fees, which had to be substantial, and my lawyer's fees, which the judge awarded me as sanctions for the frivolous lawsuit. All told, it cost him about $32,000 to learn a very expensive lesson. I heard through the grapevine, because there's always a grapevine, always someone who knows someone who talks, that he's still with her. The woman with the red lipstick. Turns out she has a name. Melissa. She works in his office. Of course she does. They'd been having an affair for 2 years. 2 years of lies and late nights and lipstick stains I never noticed because I trusted him completely. They moved in together. Into an apartment downtown. Modern, trendy, expensive. I heard they're struggling financially. Turns out she has expensive taste. Designer clothes, fancy restaurants, weekend trips. The kind of lifestyle that requires 2 incomes, and he's still paying off credit cards and legal fees. I don't feel guilty. People ask me if I do. Friends who found out about the lottery, who put the pieces together, they think I should. You deceived him, they say. You hid money during your divorce. That's not right. But here's what they don't understand. He deceived me first. He broke our vows. He lied to my face every single day while sleeping in our bed at night. He came home smelling like another woman and kissed me and told me he loved me. And when I asked him if he was happy, when I gave him a chance to be honest, to come clean, to salvage something from the wreckage of our marriage, he took the easy way out. He was relieved. He was grateful I'd given him an exit. I don't owe him anything. Not my truth, not my money, not my pain, not an explanation. I wake up now in my little house, and I make coffee the same way I used to. The machine gurgles and hisses, but everything else is different. The kitchen is mine, the decisions are mine, the life is mine. There's no tension, no walking on eggshells, no analyzing every word, every mood, every change in behavior, no lipstick stains, no lies, no pretending. I still buy lottery tickets sometimes, every Tuesday and Friday. $2, not because I need the money now. God knows I don't need money, but because it reminds me that sometimes, just sometimes, the universe does have a sense of humor. And sometimes, that humor is on your side. I never told him about finding the lipstick that morning, never confronted him about it. Let him think I was clueless. Let him think I'm the villain in this story. The scheming ex-wife who hid money and played games and came out on top through deception. The truth is simpler than that. I just finally learned to play the game he'd been playing all along. The game of secrets, the game of protection, the game of looking out for yourself because no one else will. The difference is I won. And every morning when I wake up in my little house with my garden and my coffee and my freedom, I remember that winning. Not the $10 million. That's just money, numbers in an account. The real winning was walking away, was choosing myself, was refusing to be destroyed by his betrayal, was taking something terrible and turning it into something beautiful. I planted roses in my garden last month. Red ones, deep burgundy, almost the exact shade of that lipstick. Every time I see them, I smile. Because they're mine, and he can't touch them.